The most valuable resource is your attention. Not money. Not time. Not talent. Attention. Because wherever your attention goes, your life follows. Wherever your attention stays, your future is built. Your attention is the soil, and whatever you plant there will grow. The most valuable resource is your attention. Most people don't realize this. They waste their attention like it's infinite. They give it to noise, to distractions, to empty entertainment. They spend it on gossip, on scrolling, on things that don't matter. And then they wonder why their life feels empty. They wonder why their dreams don't grow. They wonder why their future looks like their past. It's simple. They spent their most valuable resource on trash. The most valuable resource is your attention. Here's a quotable line: where your attention goes, your future flows. Think about it. Attention is the currency of success. Attention is the engine of growth. Attention is the weapon of focus. Every great achievement was born because someone aimed their attention like a laser. Every great failure happened because someone scattered their attention like dust. The most valuable resource is your attention. Most people say they don't have time. But they do. They just don't have focus. They have hours, but their attention is fragmented. They have days, but their attention is divided. They have years, but their attention is wasted. That person, the one who rises, knows the truth. Time without attention is nothing. Time with attention is everything. The most valuable resource is your attention. Story 1. A student wanted to learn a new language. He studied 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there, while scrolling his phone. Months passed, nothing changed. Another student gave 1 hour of undivided attention every day. No distractions. No noise. Just focus. In 1 year, he spoke fluently. The difference wasn't time. It was attention. The most valuable resource is your attention. Most people are slaves to distraction. Notifications control them. Entertainment owns them. Noise eats them alive. But that person protects their attention like treasure. That person guards their focus like gold. That person chooses what to see, what to hear, what to think. And because of that, they grow. Because of that, they rise. The most valuable resource is your attention. Here's another quotable line: attention is oxygen. What you feed lives, what you starve dies. Story 2. A young man wanted to start a business. But every night, he lost himself in video games and endless shows. He said, "I don't have time." But the truth was he didn't have attention. His dream died from neglect. Another man used those same hours with full attention, reading, planning, building. His dream thrived. His focus created success. The most valuable resource is your attention. Most people let the world steal their attention. Advertisements steal it. News steals it. Social media steals it. Strangers steal it. And they give it away for free. But that person invests it. That person says, "My attention is gold. I don't spend it on garbage. I invest it in growth." And their life multiplies. The most valuable resource is your attention. Story 3. A woman wanted to get healthy. She had time to cook, time to train, time to rest, but her attention was on gossip and drama. She complained she had no energy, no results. Another woman focused her attention on food, movement, discipline. Within a year, her life transformed. Not because of magic, because of attention. The most valuable resource is your attention. Here's another quotable line: distraction is the enemy. Attention is the weapon. Most people believe talent is the secret, but talent without attention dies. Most people believe luck is the secret, but luck without attention fades. Most people believe opportunity is the secret, but opportunity without attention disappears. That person knows the real secret. That person knows the truth. The most valuable resource is your attention. Story 4. A musician had talent, but he scattered his attention. He played sometimes, quit often, distracted himself daily. His talent faded. Another musician with less talent gave full attention to practice, to learning, to growth. Years later, he became a master. His secret wasn't talent. It was attention. The most valuable resource is your attention. Most people waste attention on the past, regrets, mistakes, shame. Or they waste attention on the future, fear, worry, what-ifs. That person knows the only place to spend attention is now. That person knows the present is the only soil where seeds grow. That person invests attention in today, and tomorrow takes care of itself. The most valuable resource is your attention. Here's another quotable line: your attention is your life. Spend it wisely. So what about you? Where are you spending your attention? On distraction? On excuses? On things that weaken you? Or on focus? On growth? On building yourself? Because your future is not built from your words. It is not built from your wishes. It is built from your attention. The choice is clear. The truth is simple. The most valuable resource is your attention. The most valuable resource is your attention. Not your time, not your money, not your words, your attention. Because your attention decides where your energy goes. And where your energy goes, your life follows. The most valuable resource is your attention. Most people don't protect it. They give it away like it's nothing. To gossip. To noise. To meaningless scrolling. To things that will never matter tomorrow. They spend their most valuable resource on trash. But that person, the one who rises, guards their attention like gold. That person says no to distractions. That person invests focus where it multiplies. That person knows the most valuable resource is your attention. Here's a quotable line: attention is the gatekeeper of your destiny. Discipline versus feelings. Most people wait until they feel like it. They put their attention where their emotions pull them. But feelings are weak. Feelings change. Feelings distract. That person doesn't follow feelings. That person follows discipline. That person directs attention like a weapon. That person decides where it goes. And that decision builds strength. The most valuable resource is your attention. Story 1. A runner wanted to quit every morning. His bed screamed louder than his goals. Most people would have listened. But he put his attention on the finish line, not the blanket. He got up. He ran. He trained. Months later, he crushed his race. His secret wasn't talent, it was where he placed his attention. The most valuable resource is your attention. Here's another quotable line: feelings beg for comfort. Attention builds discipline. Responsibility. Most people waste attention blaming others. They spend hours thinking, it's not my fault. It's unfair. It's impossible. Their attention is stuck on excuses. That person does the opposite. That person spends attention on responsibility. That person says, this is my problem. This is my fight. This is my life. And that attention creates power. The most valuable resource is your attention. Story 2. A young man lost his job. He could have wasted months blaming the company. Instead, he focused his attention on building skills. Every day, he learned, practiced, applied. Within a year, he had a better career than before. Not because of luck. Because he guarded his attention from blame and invested it in responsibility. The most valuable resource is your attention. Here's another quotable line: excuses steal attention. Responsibility invests it. Fear versus courage. Most people spend their attention feeding fear. They ask, what if I fail? What if I lose? What if I get rejected? Their attention gets trapped in illusions. That person chooses courage. That person shifts attention to action. That person knows fear lives in imagination, but courage lives in movement. The most valuable resource is your attention. Story 3. A girl dreamed of becoming a singer. But every time she thought of performing, her attention filled with fear. What if they laugh? What if I fail? She stayed silent for years. One day, she shifted attention from fear to the song itself. She sang. Her voice cracked, but she finished. That first step grew into a career. Her courage was born the moment she changed where her attention lived. The most valuable resource is your attention. Here's another quotable line: fear grows where attention flows. Starve it. Consistency. Most people are consistent only in distraction. They put attention into noise daily, endlessly. Hours wasted, days wasted, years wasted. But that person is consistent in focus. That person invests attention again and again, even when results are invisible. Consistency and attention becomes unstoppable momentum. The most valuable resource is your attention. Story 4. An artist drew every day. Some days, he felt inspired. Most days, he didn't. But he gave attention anyway. 10 years later, people called him talented. They never saw the thousands of hours of attention. They never saw the silent grind. His genius was attention multiplied by time. The most valuable resource is your attention. Here's another quotable line: consistency is just attention, repeated. Long-term vision. Most people waste attention on short-term pleasure. Quick hits of entertainment. Quick fixes. Quick dopamine. But that person saves attention for vision. That person asks, where will this lead in 10 years? That person invests in the long game. That person plants seeds today with attention that will feed them for decades. The most valuable resource is your attention. Story 5. A farmer planted trees that wouldn't bear fruit for 20 years. His neighbors laughed, why waste attention on something you may never see? But he tended them anyway. Decades later, the orchard fed generations. His focus outlived him. His attention became legacy. The most valuable resource is your attention. Here's another quotable line: What you feed today with attention will shape your eternity. Serving others. Most people focus only on themselves. Their attention is trapped in ego. But that person directs attention to serving, to lifting others, to helping without noise, without applause. That person knows service creates strength. That person knows attention multiplies when invested in others. The most valuable resource is your attention. Story 6. A nurse worked long nights. She had no cameras, no audience, no applause. Her attention was on the sick, the weak, the dying. Families remembered her forever. Not because of speeches, but because of her presence. Because she gave her attention when it mattered most. The most valuable resource is your attention. Here's another quotable line: service is measured by attention, not words. Most people will never understand. They will bleed out their attention into distractions. They will scatter their lives into fragments. They will complain they have no time, no energy, no progress. But the truth is, they had the resource. They just wasted it. That person, the one who rises, knows better. That person protects attention like treasure. That person invests attention like capital. That person focuses attention like a weapon. And because of that, they build, they grow, they rise. The most valuable resource is your attention. The most valuable resource is your attention. Never forget it. Never betray it. Never waste it. Your attention is your life. Your attention is your future. Your attention is your power. The most valuable resource is your attention. Most people live like their attention is worthless. They spend it on endless noise. They drown it in distraction. They hand it over to strangers who don't care about them. They let the world rob them blind. And then they wonder why their dreams starve. They wonder why their strength fades. They wonder why their life feels empty. But the answer is simple. They wasted the only resource that mattered. The most valuable resource is your attention. Here's a quotable line: attention is life. Spend it with intention. Most people want to look successful. They waste attention curating images, perfecting posts, chasing validation. That person, the one who rises, doesn't waste energy on appearance. That person spends attention on substance. That person invests attention into the grind, into the practice, into the work. And years later, results speak. Legacy speaks. Actions speak. The most valuable resource is your attention. Story 1. A young man wanted to become a programmer. He followed influencers, scrolled for hacks, saved motivational quotes. But his attention was scattered. He never coded, never learned, never grew. Another man locked his attention into study. No noise. No boasting. Just focused learning. In 5 years, he became the master. His secret wasn't time, it was attention. The most valuable resource is your attention. Most people complain they don't have enough hours. But hours aren't the problem. Attention is. 2 people can live the same 24 hours. One wastes it in distraction. The other spends it in focus. 2 lives. 2 futures. Same time, different attention. The most valuable resource is your attention. Here's another quotable line: the poor waste attention. The rich invest it. Most people live on autopilot. They let the loudest noise win. They surrender attention to every ping, every notification, every trend. They never choose. They never fight. They never aim. But that person chooses. That person fights. That person aims. That person directs attention like a sword. And that sword cuts through the world. The most valuable resource is your attention. Story 2. A student prepared for exams. Most of his friends said, "We'll multitask." They studied with phones buzzing, music blasting, distractions everywhere. Their attention was split. Their results were weak. He studied in silence, and focus, and full attention. His results soared. His future changed. The most valuable resource is your attention. Most people scatter their energy. They do a little here, a little there, nothing fully. And they wonder why nothing grows. That person commits. That person focuses attention fully, completely. That person knows half attention builds nothing. Only full attention builds greatness. The most valuable resource is your attention. Here's another quotable line: half attention equals half life. Most people think they can chase everything. But attention is finite. You can't give it to everything. You must choose. And what you choose shapes you. That person chooses growth over gossip. That person chooses learning over laziness. That person chooses discipline over distraction. That person chooses life. Because the most valuable resource is your attention. Story 3. A father came home tired every night. He had a choice: waste his attention on TV or give it to his children. He chose them. He listened. He played. He taught. Years later, his children remembered not the shows he could have watched, but the attention he gave. His legacy wasn't built from money, it was built from attention. The most valuable resource is your attention. Most people give attention to what destroys them. Fear, doubt, regret, jealousy. They water weeds. They starve their dreams. That person reverses it. That person starves fear. That person starves doubt. That person starves regret. That person feeds discipline. That person feeds vision. That person feeds courage. The most valuable resource is your attention. Here's another quotable line: what you water with attention will grow. Choose carefully. Most people seek entertainment to escape. That person seeks focus to evolve. Most people feed their minds with noise. That person feeds their mind with clarity. Most people distract themselves to death. That person directs themselves to life. The most valuable resource is your attention. Story 4. A woman dreamed of opening a bakery. She kept talking about it, kept dreaming about it, but her attention was always on excuses: no money, no time, no help. Another woman put her attention on action. She baked. She sold. She saved. Years later, her bakery thrived. Her difference wasn't resources. It was attention. The most valuable resource is your attention. Most people give attention to what's urgent. That person gives attention to what's important. Most people waste attention chasing comfort. That person invests attention chasing greatness. Most people die with their attention scattered. That person dies with their attention invested. The most valuable resource is your attention. Here's another quotable line: your attention writes your story. Most people think they lose because they don't have enough talent. But the truth is, they lost because they didn't guard their attention. They gave it to distractions instead of discipline, to gossip instead of growth, to noise instead of vision. That person wins because they guard the gate. That person wins because they choose where attention lives. That person wins because they know the most valuable resource is your attention. Story 5. A boxer trained every day, but he lost a major fight. His opponent wasn't stronger, he was more focused. While the boxer's attention wandered to fame, to interviews, to distractions, the other man gave full attention to training. That night, discipline beat noise. Focus beat fame. The most valuable resource is your attention. Most people will never change. They will bleed out their attention until nothing remains. They will die full of regrets, whispering, "I could have done more." That person will die empty, having spent their attention fully on what mattered most. That person will die with peace, with proof, with legacy. The most valuable resource is your attention. Here's another quotable line: at the end, your life is where your attention has been. So what about you? Where are you spending it? Who is stealing it? What are you feeding with it? Because your attention is your life. And once it's gone forever. You can earn more money. You can meet more people. You can gain more experience. But you cannot recover wasted attention. So choose. Choose silence over noise. Choose focus over distraction. Choose vision over comfort. Choose life over death. The most valuable resource is your attention. Be that person today. Not tomorrow. Not later. Not someday. Today. Because tomorrow is a lie. Later is a thief. Someday is a grave. Only today is alive. Only today is yours. Be that person today. Not tomorrow. Because the truth is eternal. Where your attention goes, your destiny grows. Where your attention dies, your future dies. The most valuable resource is your attention. So rise. Focus. Build. Become. The most valuable resource is your attention. Be that person today. Not tomorrow.